The Bricks and Minifigs case just never ends. Today, Joshua Johnson admitted that Ben was right. I'm talking about Reckless Ben. He may have said something in court that helps out Reckless Ben's case. We're gonna tune into this one and see all of the details. And as we do it, you know I got my morning coffee with me today. Looking forward to drinking this one. Let me know what you're drinking while you're watching this video. Now let's dive in.
Joshua Johnson just filed brand new paperwork against Reckless Ben. And in trying to silence him, he may have accidentally admitted that Ben was right in writing on the record. So later, I'll talk about exactly what I mean, but let me actually explain what's going on here, what this paperwork even is, and all of that. So this is now the third restriction style filing against Ben in this saga. Of course, Bricks Minifigs corporate has been filing stuff against him, and there was another filing. So there's been like two different restrictive filings, the temporary restraining order and all this other stuff. And this is now like the third filing that actually restricts what Ben can do.
Now, if you guys are not caught up with this story, I've been covering it for the past week and a half. And Reckless Ben is a content creator who was making videos about all of this stolen Lego collections, $200,000 worth, that Bricks and Minifigs apparently had but didn't have when they took over a Lego store, essentially. It's now in court, and Reckless Ben is unable to talk about any of this stuff. There's a restraining order on him to be silent. He's literally been silenced by Bricks and Minifigs through the court system. It's a whole bunch of corruption going on between Bricks and Minifigs, the police, everything going on is just a complete mess. Now you're caught up. You could also check out the complete playlist of all these videos if you want to see everything. Now we can continue.
So Bricks and Minifigs, if you associate Josh Johnson with them, which I think you probably should, because up until a few weeks ago, he was definitely connected with them. Yeah, Bricks and Minifigs has been super aggressive legally in this case, and this continues with yet again a third restrictive order against Ben. And the previous two filings had to do with a civil case with Judge Tony Graff, and they were successful. They were filed successfully, they were approved, and all of that. But this one hasn't yet been approved or signed by any judge, and there's actually a different judge for this, which would be Thomas Lowe. And I don't know what kind of judge he is. Who knows if he's like Tony Graff, if he's going to approve these or not. We'll have to wait and see what actually happens. But the point is, there are different judges. These are different cases, but they both have the same goal, which is keeping Ben silent and keeping Ben as far away as possible.
So essentially what's being done here is our boy Joshua Johnson, or I should say not our boy Joshua Johnson, is continuously trying to add issues into the stakes to keep Reckless Ben quiet.
And as far away as possible. But let's get into the actual filing itself and see what it says.
All right.
First of all, like I said, this is a proposed order. It is not signed and it is not yet granted by any judge. And Joshua Johnson on the filing lists himself as the only protected party. He doesn't mention his wife, his kids, he doesn't mention anyone else, no one else in his family to be a protected party, which in my opinion kind of tells you where his head is at. And yeah, it just really goes to show he's trying to protect himself and no one else.
What it tells me is that he's dug himself in a bit of a hole, and the more he speaks, the more he contradicts himself and gets himself in a little bit of trouble. So right now he's just like trying to tread water to stay alive right here and to get himself out of trouble and to in any way try to win this case.
And if Ben was truly a threat, I feel like you'd want to put your family in this type of filing, but maybe I'm mistaken, maybe I'm missing something. Let's just continue. So in the filing, Josh labels himself as an alleged victim. It does not say this is a domestic violence case. It uses the language, this is alleged. So I think that is a, very important thing to note really quick there. And basically what this filing would do if it were approved, it would mean zero contact. So Ben can have zero contact with Joshua Johnson. That means no calls, texts, email, social media, mail, nothing. And Ben must stay completely away from Johnson's residence, workplace, even school, it says. I don't know if Josh goes to school or if that means like the school his kids go to. I don't know what that really means, but a school is mentioned in the filing. And this is the part I really like. If Ben encounters Josh anywhere in public, he must leave immediately or move as far away as possible. and Ben can only be present in court if he is officially a named party to that specific case, which means he can't attend other related hearings just to observe if Joshua Johnson is there. And if Ben were to violate this, if it is indeed approved, that would mean a Class A misdemeanor or a third-degree felony. It all depends on what Ben is charged with, if anything in this specific case, and whatever he's charged with, they'll basically match that severity to this other motion. And apparently there's also a potential federal firearm possession restriction if something happens, which is just like, okay, that's kind of random, but whatever.
It seems like everyone is just so scared of violence. I don't understand why this case is going and flocking towards the fear of violence. Has Reckless Ben threatened to hurt people in any way to the point where all of these restrictions are needed to put in place? It seems a little bit redundant and ridiculous.
But moving on. The part where Josh kind of admits that Ben was right the whole time and completely exposes himself in like legal writing in a document is in the filing. It explicitly states that Ben is legally allowed to serve him court papers, and the order only restricts him doing it in person. But it does say Ben is legally allowed to serve Josh court papers. And what started all this? It was Josh not letting Ben serve him court papers. And Ben even had the help of an actual process server, and still Josh refused to be served.
So he's contradicting the past with now. In the past, he said, no, you can't serve me papers. The restraining order is in place. And now he's saying you have to serve me papers in person, even though that this whole temporary restraining order is in place.
So the ordeal that basically started this entire thing with Joshua Johnson moving to, make this filing, Josh just said in this document that Ben was actually in the right from the beginning. So it's like he's saying, okay, I need Ben to stay as far away from me as possible because he tried to do something before that was legally allowed. That's basically what Josh is saying here with this document. This document is basically saying, yeah, Ben was allowed to do this from the start, and I still want to restrict him for it, and I still want to try to punish him for it, which is just, to me, it's really a conflicting thing to have in your document. But moving on, why does this matter legally? So when someone's own filing admits that the conduct that started it all was lawful, it kind of weakens the narrative that Ben was doing something wrong from the start. Also, the language in the document saying Josh is an alleged victim kind of weakens it a bit as well.
I honestly think that Reckless Ben is going to get away with this, or I shouldn't say get away with it, because honestly, I don't think he did much wrong. Maybe he was a little bit annoying and intrusive on people, but did he actually commit any crimes? I personally don't believe so. Then again, I'm not a lawyer, but everything seems to be weakening the case of BAM, and I'm talking about Bricks and Minifigs. Every time something comes out, it seems that they're weakening their case, making it seem that anything that Reckless Ben did was less vicious than initially stated. So, in my opinion, I think everything's going to be okay. The problem is, he's got this restraining order now, which, okay, who cares about the in-person stuff? It's about his content. His career is creating videos, making content. That's how he makes money. And he's being halted because he's being silenced, because he's not able to produce that content.
He's not making any huge claims there. He's just restricting what Ben can do based off the fact that he is an alleged victim of Ben. So this completely reframes the story from Ben was harassing me and stalking me to, okay, Ben was doing something legal, but just not in a way that I found convenient, or in a way that Josh found convenient. And I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that this kind of self-incriminating admission in legal paperwork could be used against Josh or Bricks and Minifigs going forward in related proceedings.
Agreed.
So once again, the current status of this motion is it's not signed yet. It's still sitting with Judge Thomas Lowe. It could be modified, denied, or signed as is. And I'll definitely update you guys with any news regarding that, if it is granted or if anything happens as far as that goes. But what does this actually mean? Like I kind of hinted at the beginning of the video, this is a larger pattern of Bricks and Minifigs and people who at least were previously affiliated with Bricks and Minifigs being super aggressive with the legal system and, in my opinion, maybe abusing the legal system or trying to, as much as possible, to silence Ben, punish him, bleed him dry, do whatever they can to pressure Ben and hurt him through the legal system. But it's like every time Bricks and Minifigs or someone affiliated with Bricks and Minifigs tries to box Ben in, it like backfires for them. They expose themselves or they do something that just makes their reputation and the public opinion even worse.
That's exactly what I was just saying a moment ago, and hurting the case every time that they open their mouths. But let's forget about the case for a second and talk about the brand, Bricks and Minifigs. The bigger this news becomes, the more tarnished the brand becomes. Like, how many of you watching this right now would happily go into a Bricks and Minifigs store and start purchasing product, even though you know that the store or the parent, the brand itself, is pretty freaking corrupt?
This doesn't only, expose him publicly, but like I said, it could have some very real legal ramifications.
So in my opinion, Bricks and Minifigs, Josh, and anyone that's affiliated should honestly just be quiet. Have their lawyers do all of the talking, because every time they open their mouth, they get themselves a little bit deeper into more dilemma, more problems. And if you want to stay up to date on the entire story, I have a full playlist of videos giving you all the details of Bricks and Minifigs, Reckless Ben, and the whole case. You could find it right here, and I'll see you guys over there.